Today, like most days, I find myself meditating on Christ the Victor and what that really means for me personally and for us as believers. What does Christ's victory really mean for us, and how does it affect the way that we live on a daily basis? Today I'm thinking of two passages that really have a profound way of saying the valiant nature of fighting and the way that we fight for Christ in spiritual warfare, in doing His work. These passages are easy to remember. They come from their 23:10, Joshua 23:10, and 1 Samuel 23:10. And there's a couple phrases that stick out to me that are extremely powerful. In Joshua 23:10, we read, and this is here, the Lord has driven out the people ahead of the Israelites, and He's speaking to the courage that they need to have in fighting. And He says, "One of you routs 1,000, because the Lord your God fights for you, just as He promised." And boy, that idea of one person routing or putting to flight, some versions say putting to flight 1,000 people, is an amazing thing. That we would be able to have that courage to fight because of the victory of the Lord that goes ahead of us. And so, wow, that's just amazing to me that we would be able to, 1 versus 1,000, that's not really a fair fight. But when you put the Lord, who is our victor, in the midst of that, it's not a fair fight for the enemy. The other passage of scripture is 2 Samuel 23:10, which I think if we have this idea in our minds of using Christ's power and walking in that power, we're going to fight really hard. And there's a verse that talks about David's mighty men, his men of valor, the men of battle. And Eleazar, specifically in 2 Samuel 23, is mentioned as a soldier having a unique commitment to fighting and to fighting hard. And the scripture, verse 23:10 says, "But he stood his ground," speaking of Eleazar, one of David's mighty men, "and he struck down the Philistines till his hand grew tired and froze to the sword." So if you picture Eleazar fighting with a sword in his hand so long and so hard that it literally freezes in his hand. Now, I thought about this. I used to work on the farm, and we would oftentimes work so hard and so long with shovels that our hand would literally freeze to the shovel. And you would actually go to drop the shovel and you couldn't. Your hand was frozen. You actually had to pry your fingers off because you were grabbing it for so long. And that's the idea of, in scripture here, we see of Eleazar fighting so hard, so long that his hand froze to the sword. What if that described us? Our commitment to serving the Lord, walking in victory, fighting in this way. We had the perseverance, the determination to fight that hard, that our hands literally froze. What if that described us and our willingness to fight hard and long for the King?